You smell that? You know what that smell is? That's the smell of 200 resin. I still love when people said that we were never gonna get a resin cap increase, and look where we are now. You suckers. But anyways, this video is gonna be a little bit of a commentary video while also going over the 4.7 updates, because if you don't know, it's Pride Month. June is Pride Month, and if you also don't know, I am non-binary, which an astounding amount of people don't know, even with my pronouns embedded into a YouTube video. Into every YouTube video. But no worries, I am here to talk to you guys about being non-binary, because I notice a lot of people don't know what non-binary is, and they're kind of too scared to ask, which is totally fine. I get it, because people don't want to be offensive, so I'm just here to talk to you guys about it. So first things first, what is non-binary? It basically just means not identifying as a man or a woman, not identifying as something within the gender binary, basically. So let's clear up that miscommunication and make one thing very clear, because I realized I didn't say this earlier. Silly me. Gender is not the same as sex. So if you're the kind of person that always wonders with a non-binary person, well, what's in their pants? Stop it. Please. That's weird. Now, of course, every single person is different. So every non-binary person has different levels of comfort when it comes to things. So like descriptors like handsome or beautiful, some non-binary people are okay with one of those or both of those, and some people are okay with neither. A lot of it is a big personal preference thing, and same with the pronouns. Because not every non-binary person uses exclusively they-them pronouns. Some use she-they, some use he-they, some use she-he-they, and some use neo-pronouns as well. If you don't know what neo-pronouns are, it's basically just new pronouns, or as I like to mentally understand it in my head, is like the less common pronouns. So its pronouns. I always laugh when people are trying to be transphobic with me, and instead of using they them pronouns for me, they use its pronouns for me, and I'm just like, oh my god, neopronoun queen, slay. It really bothers them, and it's funny. But along with descriptors being a personal preference, presentation is also a personal preference for non-binary people as well. So personally, I talk about this a lot on my live streams, but I am a very feminine presenting non-binary person. Of course, you guys can't tell because I'm in a computer screen right now with no face cam. But I talk about how, like, I'm a very feminine presenting non-binary person, or even just my feminine voice, and how that affects my non-binary identity on a daily basis, especially in content creation. But if you've ever spent any time on my Twitch, you'll know that my personal preference with descriptors is basically non-gendered descriptors, because personally, sometimes I'm okay with masculine descriptors like, oh, pop off king. But I remember clearly I had one chatter. They meant no harm, I promise. They were so sweet. But they were like, oh, like, yes, sister. And I'm like, no. No, you're not gonna do that to me. But of course, they did the thing that anybody should do in that situation. They just said sorry. It was all good. But back to presentation, a lot of people think that a non-binary person is always androgynous, and that's just not the case. Non-binary people, of course, can be androgynous, but androgyny is something that anybody can be. And if you don't know already, presentation and identity are totally separate things. So like, when a guy has long hair and makeup on, if he says he's still a guy, he's still a guy, you know? And it's the same thing with non-binary people. Some non-binary people prefer being feminine, some non-binary people prefer being masculine, some prefer being both or neither. And it's just personal preference. And it doesn't make them any less non-binary than an androgynous non-binary person. And I think another really important thing to note is that these personal preferences can also change over time. Even if a person's identity doesn't change and they're still non-binary, they can prefer feminine descriptors at one point in time and masculine descriptors at another point in time. Because gender as well as sexuality is like a super fluid thing. So it's literally just what you feel like. So like how when your friends want to go see a movie and one weekend they saw a really cool action movie and they're like, let's go see an action movie again. And you're like, but I don't really want to see an action movie this weekend. I kind of want to watch a sitcom. It's exactly like that. And I do want to emphasize, just because gender and sexuality are fluid and it can change at any point in time for any person, doesn't mean it's a phase. Because no matter how long a person's identity lasts, it's still a very real and very valid part of who they are. So just support them and be nice. And a great way to be nice, even to strangers on the internet, is checking pronouns. I used to think that everybody did this, and then I realized I was very, very wrong. But anytime I'm commenting on social media to somebody or about somebody, I always check pronouns first. And it's really something everybody should do, because whether or not you're arguing with somebody about what the best pizza topping is, you can still be respectful while you do that. And you should still be respectful while doing that. Oh my gosh, another story quest. It is my only one, and I will get it done so fast. I will say though, a great way to start being respectful to non-binary people, even if you don't know a non-binary person in real life, is to just educate yourself on the space. For instance, respecting non-binary characters. This doesn't really apply to Genshin because as far as I'm aware, Genshin doesn't have any non-binary characters, but chances are you don't play only one game. And chances are another game you play has non-binary characters. For instance, Overwatch and Valorant just released non-binary characters this year. And then of course there's League that has multiple non-binary characters and has had them for a while. And I see a lot of people, when these characters first come out, their first defense to being transphobic is always, oh, it's pixels, it doesn't have feelings. And I'm like, that's so weird. What a weird thing to say out loud. And I feel like this is the perfect time to bring up the shopping cart theory. If you've never heard of the shopping cart theory, basically it's this idea that a shopping cart is the perfect test of morals, because it's not illegal to not put your shopping cart back, but everybody can agree that it is the correct thing to do. And even under emergencies, there's no situation in which not putting your cart back would be understandable. And it's the same thing with respect to characters in video games. Like, yeah, they're not real, but why is that an excuse to be disrespectful? If that doesn't make sense to you, or if that doesn't convince you, let me put it another way. Hypothetically speaking, you and your bestie are playing games, right? Common thing. Some people have friends, I don't, but I've heard people do. So you're playing games with your bestie, right? And your bestie is sitting there. They've been questioning their gender for a while, and they've come to terms with the fact that they're non-binary. And they really want to tell you, because you're their best friend. But you guys are playing Valorant together, and they pick Clove. And you spend the entire game arguing with people about how Clove's not real, they don't deserve my respect, and misgendering them the whole time. Your friend isn't gonna want to be friends with you. And your friend isn't gonna feel safe being around you. Another thing you can educate yourself on very, very easily, if I might add, to show that you are a true ally to the community, is knowing the acronyms. Because a lot of people get the acronyms mixed up, and for good reason. There are two acronyms that are very, very similar, but are very, very different. There's NB, spelled ENBY, like the letters N and B in non-binary. It's shorthand for non-binary. And then there's an acronym, NB. The letters NB. And these two acronyms get mistaken a lot. And like I said, it's for good reason, because verbally they sound the exact same. But if you're going to be talking about either of these acronyms over text, it's very important to know that this one means non-binary and this one means non-black. So very big difference, but very easy difference to learn. And it's very helpful when you're trying to educate yourself on non-binary issues, especially if you're searching for things online and you want to use an acronym to search. If you use the letters NB, you'll probably get very different searches. Now, this isn't to say that people in the community don't mix these up, because they absolutely do. Common mistake, but still a good thing to learn. Now, you might think me being non-binary doesn't really affect my content that much, but it definitely affects it a good amount more than people think. Because I have to do a lot more chat and YouTube moderation because of it. I also have to do a lot more education because of it. I genuinely, I almost said edumacation. I have to do a lot more edumacation because of it. Because a lot of people that come to my chat, I really do my best to try and be nice. Sometimes it's really hard though, especially because sometimes it's really hard to tell whether somebody is being malicious or is just ignorant. So I try to be nice and educate people as much as I can. It really tests my patience though sometimes. And it can get hard just mentally, because having to mentally deal with the fact that people will never see me as who I am and they'll only see me as who they think I am, it hurts a lot sometimes. It gets more difficult to deal with sometimes, especially the more ways I have made it accessible to make yourself aware of my pronouns. And all that to say, I have my pronouns on the screen, like you can see right now. I also have an exclamation point pronoun command in my chat that's always in my title. And I also have a timer that goes off that reminds everybody that I'm non-binary and use they, them pronouns. And with all of that, I still get misgendered sometimes. And that hurts because it goes back to what I was saying earlier about not being able to tell who's malicious or who's ignorant. Because I have to sit there and think, I'm like, did they really miss the pronouns right next to my face? However, YouTube moderation is also really difficult with that, because it's not like I can just block somebody from viewing my content for 10 minutes as if that would do anything. And I have to make the decision of if I'm gonna delete a comment or not, just because it's misgendering me. Which, to be fair, typically I do make that decision, but sometimes that does make me feel really mean on YouTube, because some people will genuinely leave like very, very nice comments, but they'll misgender me in the comment. I have to actively remind myself, how nice can they be if they misgendered me? And I think that's a great thing for everybody to remember, because even if somebody says something really nice to you, but they misgender you, how nice are they if they misgendered you? Especially nowadays, when most people have their pronouns easily accessible. I will say though, something that helps with dealing with misgendering on YouTube is not dealing with it. I actually recently put my wife as an editor on my YouTube channel. So if I'm just having a really mentally bad day and I can't deal with people being mean for the time being, my wife can actually go on my YouTube channel and deal with it for me. And honestly, a 10 out of 10 solution. Don't like your problems? Ignore them. 100% effective. Your problems can't bother you if you can't see them. Aside from the actual content creation aspect of it though, I do get questions a lot about how me being non-binary affects how I play video games. And let me just say, it's hard, okay? Because every single time I'm in a video game, I get to make the lovely choice of being misgendered the entire game or getting hate crimed. But at least on a positive note, I can tell you guys, I recently had a very, very positive experience in a game where I don't know what possessed me, but I told the people I was playing with that I was non-binary, and my teammate literally was like, oh my gosh, same. And I have never felt safer. And it was a very nice, refreshing thing to happen because that is not what happens. 9 times out of 10, that is not what happens. If it comes up that I am non-binary, then I get to deal with being called slurs for the rest of the game. Now, at least on a little bright side, if it's a game like Valorant, they always get banned instantly. But people always do get curious if being misgendered in video games, specifically because my voice, bothers me. And yeah, it does. It does bother me. But I can say with confidence that it is very rare for me to feel safe enough to say something about it. How do I deal with everyone misgendering me and hurting my feelings? I cry. My point is just that it hurts a lot, and a lot more than people probably realize. And to be clear, this is just my experience. I'm talking personally right now. I'm not saying every non-binary person gets their feelings hurt on a daily basis. Frankly, I would say it's safe to assume so until told otherwise. But I am just speaking from personal experience right now. But people do get surprised by that sometimes. That it hurts my feelings when people misgender me in game. They're just like, yeah, of course it hurts my feelings. I'm not being seen as who I am. And it does make content creation just that much more difficult. And not in the sense of like, oh, I have to have a thicker skin for it. But in the sense of like, all of my content revolves around basically me getting misgendered all of the time. But it is nice that more and more so lately, video games as a whole have been recognizing the LGBTQ community more lately. But sometimes they do it horribly and it makes me sad. Look, I love Valorant, I do, but their Pride merch is horrible. It's horrible. I'm gonna start with the first complaint is it's bland. And my biggest ick with any video game making Pride merch is misnaming it. Because let's be honest, most people who aren't queer cannot tell you which flags are which. But Valorant coming in and having the lesbian flag be like strawberry sherbet doesn't help. I hate it so much. Just call it the lesbian flag, okay? Just name it what it is. And honestly, it's not just Valorant that does that. That's just what I have on the top of my head because it's Pride Month and I play Valorant, and so their Pride bundle is available yet again. So I get to see yet again how all of their flags are named something obscure and inconspicuous instead of calling it what it is. I don't know why Valorant is so afraid of just calling it a gay flag, a lesbian flag, but they are, and I hate it. And I also want to talk about that. Like, if you think to yourself, oh, I'd never be able to get used to they, them pronouns, like, I would just mess up so much. That doesn't mean you shouldn't try, because I can tell you right now, there is no person who uses they, them pronouns who is going to just throw hands every single time you mess up. Unless you told them to throw hands with you every time you mess up, there's no person who's gonna throw hands with you every single time you mess up. What's important is that you try. And believe me, we can tell who is trying. So for anybody who's ever been told a wild story about somebody who had a non-binary friend and that friend stopped being friends with this person because they misgendered them once, no they didn't. No they didn't. Believe me, trust me, and hear me when I tell you, no. I have dropped people who misgendered me, and it is never after one time, and it is never just because of that. Because every single friend that I have dropped who regularly misgendered me, it was never just about the misgendering. It was about the respect. Because not only did they misgender me, but they also never acknowledged who I was, and in fact blatantly disregarded who I was. And that's why I stopped being friends with them. So if you're scared of being friends with a non-binary person because you think we're really mean, I promise we're not. We're not, I promise. And we would like friends as well. But I really just wanted to make this video because it is Pride Month, and a lot of people may not notice everything that goes into being a non-binary or any sort of genderqueer creator. It affects probably a lot more than you guys would think. And I also want to say it's totally okay to ask questions. I know a lot of people get nervous that they don't want to be offensive, but if you just phrase your question nicely, we are happy to answer. And I say we as in like a general term, but I want to stress me personally. So if you guys have any questions about being non-binary that I didn't already answer in the video, feel free to respectfully drop them in the comments below, and I would be happy to go through and answer them, because I don't want people to be scared to ask questions about the LGBTQ community, because a lot of the hate that the queer community gets, actually not a lot, all of it is from ignorance. It's just people don't know, or they were misinformed by people who don't know. Anyways, I hope this video helped at least a little bit, and I hope the Genshin was a fun addition and not distracting. Don't forget to leave your questions in the comments down below, and if you would like to ask questions in person, I do stream live on Twitch every single day if that suits your interests. But if not, worry not. I will see you guys next time. Bye!